The moment the light turned green, my vision began to blur. At a crowded intersection, I gripped the steering wheel tightly as the world spun around me. Cars sped past, their horns blending into a distant roar. My heart pounded violently in my chest. Something was terribly wrong. "I can't be late for the Peterson Project meeting," I whispered to myself. The buildings of Boston's skyline seemed to dance and sway before my eyes. My hands weren't just trembling, they had lost all strength. On the most important day of my career, I was about to crash in the middle of rush hour. "Ma'am, are you okay?" A pedestrian called out through my half-open window. I tried to answer, but my mouth wouldn't move. The intersection tilted sharply, and suddenly I was staring at headlights barreling toward my drifting car. Voices exploded around me. "Call 911. Is she breathing? Somebody get her out of there." My assistant Kim's face appeared above me, her mascara already running down her cheeks. "Mandy, stay with me. The ambulance is on its way." I tried to reach for my phone, but my body wouldn't respond. Call my family." I managed to whisper before darkness swallowed me. When I regained consciousness hours later in the ICU, everything was hazy. I could feel someone next to me. My husband, Billy, had rushed to be by my side. His face was pale with exhaustion, and his dress shirt was wrinkled from the frantic trip. He must have left work the moment he heard about the accident. "Mandy, you're awake," he said, his voice a mix of relief and fear. "Are you in pain? I'll get the doctor." I tried to shake my head, but a bolt of pain shot through me. A neck brace restricted my movement, wires tangled around my body. An IV was in my left arm. My right leg was in a cast. "How long?" My voice was hoarse. 18 hours, Billy said, gently holding my hand. "You passed out at the intersection and drifted into oncoming traffic. Thankfully, the other driver slammed on the brakes in time. You avoided a direct hit, but your car flipped." Pieces of the memory returned. The trembling hands, the blurred vision, the headlights approaching. I remembered thinking about the Peterson Project meeting, how it was the most critical day of my career. The meeting. "Don't worry. Kim presented in your place." The client completely understood. Nothing matters more than your health. Billy's eyes glistened with tears. He was trying to stay strong, but I could tell he knew how close I had come. "Did you contact my family?" I asked, my voice trembling. Billy's expression darkened. "Yeah, there's something you should know." He chose his words carefully. "The police reached out to your mother," he said, picking up my phone. "Do you want to hear what they told me?" I nodded, a flicker of hope warming my chest. "They said your parents had just boarded a cruise with Stacy. Your mom apparently said, 'It's a relief to have the freeloader out of the way.' I'm so sorry, honey." Billy's face said everything words couldn't. I turned away, hot tears spilling down my swollen cheeks. "Is there anything I can do?" he asked gently. A painful memory flashed in my mind. Last Thanksgiving, I wired $60,000 to pay off Stacy's student loans. Mom barely looked at me as she helped her open a new designer shoebox. "Thanks, Mandy. You're literally the best sister ever." The best sister. The best daughter. The best ATM. Thank you, Billy. Bring me all the financial documents. Every single one. His face shifted into lawyer mode, and he nodded quietly. I nearly died today, and my family chose the cruise I paid for. My phone buzzed. An Instagram notification. Stacy had just posted a selfie on the cruise deck with my parents, all smiles. All three of them were holding up cocktail glasses. The caption read, "Dream vacation begins. So blessed to have a family that sacrifices everything for what really matters. #CruiseLife. Grateful. Family first." I turned off my phone, feeling something hard and cold form in my chest. It wasn't from the injuries, it was pure resolve. Very soon, Billy would help me sever every financial tie I had with my family. And for the first time in my life, I wouldn't feel the slightest bit guilty about it. The next morning, Billy arrived with a leather briefcase stuffed with documents. "You brought everything?" He pulled a chair close to my bed and began arranging the paperwork on my tray table. "Everything you asked for. But are you sure you won't regret this? It's a decisive move. I was nearly killed by a car while they boarded a cruise I paid for. And they called me a freeloader. This is exactly what needs to happen." Billy nodded, his jaw tight. We'd been married for 3 years, and he had witnessed countless moments of my family's exploitation. Let's start with the mortgage payments. Despite the pain, we spent the next hour systematically going through every document. "Okay, auto payments for your parents' mortgage canceled," Billy said, sorting the forms. "Next is cutting off access to the account used to fund Stacy's lifestyle." The memories came flooding back. "Do it," I said, my voice surprisingly firm. "Cut everything." He pulled out another stack. "And the payments for their house? Stop those immediately. They've been living in that house paid by you for 15 years. It's over." My phone buzzed. A text from my mother, "The cruise is amazing. Stacy's having the time of her life. Are you feeling better?" I handed the phone to Billy. He exhaled sharply. "Wow. Just wow." He raised his brows. "Are you planning to confront them directly?" "It's not a confrontation, it's a wake-up call. 15 years overdue. They've lived in a bubble of entitlement for far too long," I said firmly. "Keep going, Billy." By noon, despite the searing pain, we had prepared everything needed to legally untangle my finances from my family's parasitic ties. "All the paperwork is ready for submission," Billy said as he stood. "But we could wait until tomorrow, give you a little more time to think it through." I shook my head firmly. "Submit it today. I've had 36 years to think about this." A week after the accident, my parents and Stacy finally showed up at the hospital. But I refused to see them. I declined the visit entirely. From the hallway, I could hear my mother's voice, laced with performative concern. "Nurse, we're here to see our daughter. Why can't we go in?" "The patient has requested no visitors," the nurse replied politely. "This is ridiculous." Stacy's shrill voice cut through the air. "We're family." Mandy hit her head, she's not thinking straight. Then came my father's voice. "Our daughter is confused. We have a right to see her." Billy sat at my bedside, holding my hand. "I know you can hear them. But this is your choice, and I support it," he said gently. I closed my eyes. Just a week ago, I was still fulfilling their every financial demand. Everything I had done for family had, in truth, enabled their entitlement and turned me into nothing more than a human ATM. Mandy. My mother's voice rang through the door. We just got back from the cruise. We were so worried we came as fast as we could. That was a lie. I'd seen their Instagram stories. They had enjoyed the cruise to the very end, just as planned. While I lay in the ICU on the brink of death, they sipped cocktails by the pool and dined at luxury restaurants. Mandy, I know you can hear me. Stacy's voice now carried frustration. Stop acting like a child. We're family. You need us. I smiled quietly. Ironically, it wasn't them I needed, it was my wallet they'd always needed. For 36 years, I hadn't seen it. Or maybe I had, I just didn't want to admit it. The voices in the hallway faded, step by step, into the distance. Security must have escorted them out of the hospital. Was that really the right call? Billy asked, concern in his voice. Absolutely. For the first time, I meant it with all my heart. It had been 2 months since I cut off all contact with my parents and sister. Dr. Lee was amazed by my recovery. To be honest, based on the initial diagnosis, I expected at least 6 months of hospitalization. But your resilience has been remarkable. The results from physical therapy are outstanding. I could now walk without crutches. I still had occasional headaches and bouts of dizziness, but nothing that interfered with my daily life. More than anything, I felt mentally sharper than I had in years. Can you keep my discharge confidential? I asked Dr. Lee. Of course. Patient privacy is strictly protected. We won't notify your family. Billy came to pick me up. As I climbed into the car, I glanced back at the hospital. The past 2 months there had been the most pivotal of my life. A time to reevaluate my relationship with my family and reclaim my autonomy. While driving, Billy updated me on the legal progress. All financial ties have been officially severed. They have no access to your accounts, and they can't apply for anything in your name. I exhaled with relief. Perfect. But no regrets? Not a single one, I said confidently. For the first time, I feel like I'm living my life. When we arrived home, a beautiful bouquet was waiting by the front door. Billy had arranged it. Inside, the house was spotless, and the calming scent of lavender, my favorite, hung in the air. Welcome home, he said, wrapping his arms around me. Your real life starts now. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in ages. For the first time, I felt the joy of spending time solely for myself, free from the constant demands and guilt imposed by my family. The next morning, Billy sat beside me, reviewing documents. Foreclosure notices on their mortgage have started going out, he said. What do you want to do about their calls? Nothing. Let them experience reality for once. My hand trembled slightly as I signed the final document. The following day, I received multiple voicemails from my parents. As Billy prepared dinner, I played them on speaker. Mandy, the bank just called about the mortgage. Stacy's at work and we can't reach her. This must be a mistake. Call us back right away. My mother's voice was high-pitched, frantic. I answered coldly. I'm just a freeloader, remember? I wouldn't know. And I hung up. Moments later, Billy's phone rang. His expression turned serious as he listened. "That was someone from my office," he said after hanging up. "Stacy is trying to file for temporary conservatorship over you." "What is she doing?" "She's claiming your accident caused a traumatic brain injury and that your irrational decisions prove you're unfit to manage your finances." Despite my still healing ribs, I laughed. "Let me guess, she's offering to manage my money for me." "Exactly. Don't worry, it's completely ridiculous. No judge would ever." "Push back," I interrupted. "Aggressively, make it expensive. And Billy, I want a countersuit for harassment." My phone rang again. This time, it was my father. "Mandy, your mother told me about the bank situation. Seems like there was a mix-up. Stacy's been so busy, maybe she forgot the payment. Could you take care of it instead?" "Why me?" I asked flatly. "Well, Stacy's got a big promotion coming up. She's swamped. You're off work right now, right? You have the time." I took a deep breath. They still thought Stacy was the family breadwinner and I was the unemployed, dependent one. That's not my concern anymore. Not your concern? Mandy, you're still part of this family. You know how much Stacy has done for all of us. His words stirred old memories. In the beginning, it had been the two of us, Stacy and me, supporting our parents. Back when she had just started working and I was still a junior analyst, we split the mortgage together. At some point, Stacy had started lying to our parents, telling them she'd climbed the corporate ladder and was now making a high salary. "Dad, who do you think's been paying the mortgage all these years?" "Stacy, of course. She landed that job at the big ad agency, then moved into management. You know how successful she's been." I smiled quietly. Stacy's actual income was less than 1/100th of mine. "Did you know she's now preparing to file a lawsuit?" "A lawsuit? What are you talking about?" "She's trying to become my legal guardian. She wants control over my assets." There was a long silence on the other end. "Well, maybe. Maybe she's just worried about your health." "My health? I've made a full recovery. I stopped sending money by choice." "Sending money? You were sending money?" "That can't be. Stacy's the one supporting the household." "Dad, face reality. I've been paying your mortgage for 15 years. Not Stacy, me." That can't be right," he said, his voice unsteady. You never really held down a serious." "What do you mean by serious? Do you even know how much I earn?" After a long pause, he said in a small voice, You work at some consulting firm, right? Maybe 1,000 a month?" I took a deep breath. "That was when I was 22. You never cared to ask, so I never bothered to brag. But now, I make $400,000 a year, Dad. I'm a senior vice president at an investment bank." The line went dead. Billy gently placed a hand on my shoulder. "That truth probably hit harder than anything else," he said. 15 years of lies unraveled in one conversation. I shrugged. But now, they'll finally have to face the truth. That night, I slept soundly. No more playing along with anyone's lies. The next day, Billy came home with a tense expression. "We've got a situation. Stacy's lawyer contacted me. What now? She wants to withdraw her guardianship petition. And she asked for a family meeting with your parents. I frowned. Why the sudden change? Apparently your dad confronted her after your call last night, asked her about your real income. That evening, my parents and Stacy showed up at our house. At first, I refused to see them, but Billy gently said they deserved to hear the truth. The living room was thick with tension. My mother's eyes were swollen from crying, my father looked ghost pale, and Stacy sat with her head down, hands clenched tightly in her lap. Let's hear it, my father said heavily. Stacy, is what Mandy said yesterday true? Stacy nodded faintly, still not meeting his eyes. Say it out loud, my mother demanded. It's true, Stacy whispered, her voice trembling. My sister, Mandy's been paying the mortgage this whole time. For 15 years? My father sounded stunned. Yes, 15 years. Then what about all those promotions? Your stories about becoming a manager? Stacy buried her face in her hands. All lies. I've only ever had part-time jobs. My annual income is maybe $3,500. My mother stood up, staggering slightly. Then, yes, I can barely afford spending money for myself. Mandy's been covering everything. There's no way I could have supported the family. I said nothing. I just sat and watched the web of lies begin to collapse. Then, my father's voice quivered. Mandy's income really is $400,000 a year, Stacy said, lifting her tear-streaked face. She's a vice president at an investment bank. $400,000? My mother sank into her chair. That's... Mom, I said, speaking for the first time. The total I've sent you over the years far exceeds that annual salary. A heavy silence fell over the room. Why? My father turned to Stacy. Why would you lie like that? Stacy began to sob. I was jealous. Mandy could do everything right, she had a great job, she was successful. I could never measure up. So you made me the villain? I asked, my voice calm. Yes, Stacy shouted, lifting her tear-streaked face. I hated how everyone praised you as the accomplished daughter. So I painted you as some pathetic sister who depended on me. You were the one who called me a freeloader too? That too, yes. I wanted Mom and Dad to look down on you. I didn't want them to recognize your worth. My mother's voice trembled. Stacy, you. I know, I'm awful. Stacy stood up, voice cracking. But I was drowning in inferiority. Mandy's smart, beautiful, makes real money. And me? I've just been bouncing between part-time jobs. So you thought that gave you the right to lie, deceive our parents, and tear me down? My voice was ice. I'm sorry. Stacy dropped to her knees. I'm truly sorry. But now that the truth's out, you're only sorry because you got caught. I stood up. Because I had a near-fatal accident. Because you filed for guardianship and all your lies came to light? Stacy had no reply. My father buried his head in his hands. 36 years, what was I even looking at? Dad, Mom, I said, meeting their eyes. You're complicit. You believe Stacy's lies because you wanted to. You looked down on me because it was easier than facing the truth. That's not fair. My mother started, but I cut her off. What did you say on that cruise? It's a relief to have the freeloader gone, right? That's how you really felt. The room fell silent again. Mandy, Stacy said weakly. Is there any chance that you could forgive me? I shook my head. No, in those 15 years, you took my family, my self-worth, and the truth from me. I'm no saint, I don't forgive that. But we're sisters. Blood doesn't mean anything. You've been my enemy for 15 years. I looked at Billy. He nodded and stood. I think it's time for everyone to leave, he said firmly but politely. Mandy has been through enough. Please stop hurting her. The three of them walked out, each step heavy. When the door shut, I let out a long breath. How do you feel? Billy asked. Free? For the first time, I smiled from my soul. The truth is finally out. I won't be dragged down by their lies ever again. That night, for the first time in 15 years, I slept in peace, truly free from the prison called family. In the following weeks, the calls, emails, and letters from my parents came constantly. Bouquets appeared at my doorstep, and tearful letters filled the mailbox. My mother's letter read, Dear Mandy, we made a terrible, unforgivable mistake. Calling you a freeloader, taking your devotion for granted, we are deeply sorry. Even though Stacy misled us, we were the ones who hurt you. Please give us another chance. My father's letter. My daughter, in 36 years of being your father, I've never felt so ashamed. While you lay suffering in a hospital bed, we enjoyed a cruise paid for with your money. I forgot my gratitude. I misjudged your worth. Can you forgive this old fool? Billy looked at me. Aren't you going to read them? I don't need to. I dropped the letters straight into the trash. For 15 years, I sacrificed myself chasing their love and approval. But now, I don't even need their apology. People make mistakes. Billy began, but I interrupted him. If it were just a mistake, then why was their first concern after my accident not my safety, but their cruise itinerary? Why did they say, it's a relief the freeloader is gone? That's not a mistake. That's who they are. I stared out the window. Love is shown through actions, not words. For 15 years, they chose to use me. Now, I choose to honor myself. 6 months had passed since I cut ties with my family. Then, unexpectedly, Billy's friend Wesley, a local newspaper journalist, shared some surprising news. It's about your family, he said, sipping his coffee. They've become quite the topic around the neighborhood lately. What kind of topic? I replied, feigning disinterest. The house was foreclosed. It went up for auction last month. Billy looked shocked. Foreclosed? Yeah, apparently they were 6 months behind on the mortgage. Neighbors said Stacy was desperately trying to negotiate with the bank. I listened, emotionless. It was exactly what I'd expected. And there's more, Wesley continued. Your dad was laid off, got let go from the construction company at 55. He's having a tough time finding work, says his back pain makes manual labor impossible now. Billy glanced at me. I didn't react. Your mom is struggling too. She started working part-time, but with no steady income from your dad, they're barely making it. Stacy wasn't doing well either. By the way, what exactly does your sister do? Wesley asked. She's a part-time worker. Why? Someone I know said she came in for a full-time job interview, but the resume was a mess. They couldn't hire her. What was wrong with it? She left most of her work history blank, but wrote management experience and advanced computer skills. When asked to explain, she couldn't answer anything. And get this, she demanded a $3,000 monthly salary. When they told her it wasn't feasible for an inexperienced applicant, she snapped. I gave a faint smile. Stacy still hadn't come to terms with reality. A month later, Billy came home wearing a concerned look. Your dad had an accident at a job site. An accident? He fractured his leg. It was a day labor gig, so no insurance, and now he's out of work with no income. I looked out the window again. I felt nothing. Doctor says he'll be in a cast for 2 months. That night, right on cue, Stacy left a voicemail. Mandy, please? We only need $1,000 for Dad's treatment. I didn't answer. You're not going to help? Billy asked. For 15 years they used me. When I nearly died in that crash, they chose a cruise. They called me a freeloader and dismissed me. Now it's my turn to choose. You don't regret it? He asked gently. Not at all, I replied calmly. They didn't treat me like family, so I won't treat them like family either. That's all there is to it. I kept moving forward, walking a new path. Freed from the chains of blood, I was living a life of true freedom. Whatever suffering they endured now, it was the result of their own choices. That was when I first felt true liberation. I decided to turn my experience into a blog. My new mission, to share the message that family isn't defined by blood, but by choice. To help others going through the same struggle. Are you really starting a blog? Billy asked as he watched me type on my laptop. Yes, maybe what I've been through can help someone else. I titled it, Chosen Family Chronicles, Breaking Free from Toxic Blood Ties. In my first post I wrote, I used to believe the word family meant love. But blood isn't a license for exploitation. True family are those who value, support, and respect you. DNA has nothing to do with it. The post went viral almost instantly. The comments overflowed with messages from people who'd been through the same pain. I've paid off my parents' debts for 20 years. I cried reading this. I've been used by my siblings for years. This gave me strength. I finally let go of the guilt for saying no to my family. I updated the blog daily. Topics like how to set healthy boundaries, how to spot financial manipulation from family, how to protect yourself without guilt. 6 months later, I was offered a book deal. Speaking invitations flooded in. My story was changing lives. You've really changed, Billy said. You seem happier than I've ever seen you. The old me lived to meet others' expectations. Now, I live for myself. One night, I looked at an old photo of my parents. I felt no guilt, no sadness. just the realization that they were merely one chapter in my story. "Any regrets?" Billy asked. "None. This is the family I've chosen." I hugged him tightly. A family bound by love, not obligation. Today, my blog reaches over 1 million monthly readers. And with every thank you message I receive, I'm reminded. Leaving my family wasn't an end. It was the beginning of the life I was always meant to live.